Konbanwa minasan, we are back for another episode of live Clow card reading. And tomorrow we will actually do another album discussions because today is the official release of my eighth solo album, Parallel Reality 2, which is the sequel to Parallel Reality 1, which was released on the last day of June this year. So yeah, today is the big day for the new album to be dropped. Most of the songs from that were actually taken from an album that would have been dedicated to Shannon. Instead of scrapping all the songs and getting rid of them, I figured, we'll just separate it and make it its own reality where things may have turned out differently. That was the idea behind it. Same with the first parallel reality. Just different ways the universe could have taken me on this journey. So just basically, divulge a little information about that. And we will get into our usual reading procedure, fortune telling. And if you would like your fortune told, please comment gender, zodiac sign, and if you would like career, romance, or general future, and we will get to yours as well. We will also, of course, talk about the lovely Hitomi and all the latest developments with her. Thank God she's finally starting to feel better, especially her being the woman I love most. I was quite concerned, but I'm very relieved to know that she's getting better. And she's actually been engaging in big endeavors herself lately, which I'm very proud of her. And she hearted my comment about the song I made for her, being very grateful that it was the biggest song of my career. It's now got over 3,000 views, Boku mo aishiteru yo. So, domo arigato minasan. Very wonderful, very happy, and I thank everyone for all your support. We keep climbing. The fact that we cracked over 3,000 views, never did that in my whole music career. It's pretty wonderful. It's also got 23, 24 likes last I checked, which is really good. So yeah, that song just keeps climbing. And of course, like I said, I'm most grateful that the song was dedicated, of course, to the woman I love most, Hitomi-chan. So yeah, we will get into our fortune telling, and then we will read some Neville Goddard. If anybody else would like their fortune told, we will get to that as well. And we will end the episode tonight with a bit of discussion. I won't go too much in depth into the actual album discussion tonight because we will do a separate live broadcasted program for that tomorrow, where we will go more in depth about the 18 tracks which make up Parallel Reality 2. So yeah, just gonna shuffle these cards a bit. See what the great Clow cards reveal to me in store today. In fact, I will have a bit of a confession for people. I was a bit concerned and worried earlier today. I actually had sort of a moment where, well, especially because I'm still working on quitting smoking cigarettes, I've managed to fully get weed out of my system for over 7 months. Biting my nails, I've kicked that. I hardly drink anymore. Well, people smoke around me in my town, and it's been kind of tough and tempting at times to want to, especially because when you get stressed, being somebody that smoked, that was often when I'd smoke was when things were stressful. You kind of lean on the crutch of a cigarette to take the stress and the tension off. Not having that, oh, it feels very intense and stressful at times like that. That's when I usually will binge watch some personal development videos like Abraham Hicks or Goddard, or I'll meditate, or I'll go for a walk. I do that a lot nowadays. But yeah, it's a battle with that one still. But you know what? As long as I get better every day, then I keep improving, and that's a good thing. And Abraham was even saying that it's not so much just what you get, because you'll always keep wanting more, as it's enjoying the journey of life and being comfortable as you work towards those things that you love. And like, you put yourself in the right vibration, your vortex is going to draw more of those things you want towards you. And I see the truth in that, because I look at when anything good happened in my life, sometimes I didn't know how I would get certain things that ended up happening that I really wanted, and they ended up happening because I stopped focusing on the obstacle or the worry around how to do it, and just kind of focused on what actually felt good, which in my case, a lot of the time was making music. And I'm very excited that when I get paid at the end of the month, I'll be able to go back into the recording studio and record my second Japanese pop song, Koi Shiteru, which I will dedicate to a very dear friend of mine who has been a very big support from over there. Two friends of mine, actually, I think I'll dedicate it to in the outro. Yoshida-san and Otani-san. So, yeah, anyways, we will get into this. Oh, great Clow cards of Kororido, using the power of the sun, the moon, and the stars. Reveal to me what message you have from the infinite intelligence of universal consciousness. Release. So this is for the general future first. And it's actually a very interesting reading tonight because these cards, especially to get these cards in this particular order, is very interesting because each of these cards has such a different energy. So the fly indicates going somewhere, travel. It also could indicate like rising above certain things. The mist indicates that old things will start to deteriorate away, like things that were there that presented themselves as maybe barriers, obstacles, difficulties. They're fading away, but it's almost like a confusion of how to get around them while they're actually dissolving and I'm not realizing it. The mirror indicates that there is movement, that there actually is things being reflected from inwards outwards that I'm not quite aware of, hence of it. The erase indicates like letting go of old past beliefs that no longer serve me, that were just holding me back, and sort of erasing the negative perspectives of certain ideas in the past and trying to see them from more of a positive angle, or see the light in even the not so pleasant situations that I go through. The maze indicates that there's many paths I could take, that it's not so much just getting to the exit of the maze, but it's finding the right path, the path of least resistance, and trusting like the intuition to guide me out of this maze that it feels I'm in. So it's a very interesting reading in general with these cards. So what other answers do you have for me? Oh, great Clow cards. Reveal to me what the general future also holds. Release. Very interesting to get this particular combination of cards. So, just in case anybody is interested, I usually do show these cards, so I'll show them as usual. The first five we drew was the fly, the mist, the mirror, the erase, and the maze. Just so you all can see, like that's the cards I drew in the first batch. The next five are the voice, the windy, the watery, the arrow, and the shield. So based on this combined with the other five, based on the idea of the general future perspective, the voice is saying that my voice is starting to be heard. It's starting to be recognized by more and more people. The windy says that by going through these things, even when it seems like challenges or discomforts, it's actually blowing away certain blocks or perspectives I had on things that prior I felt existed, but I'm starting to realize they're not actually as serious or as scary as I made them out to be, that they're kind of being blown away in the wind. The watery indicates like being washed anew, things are being made clean, that it's about like sort of going with the flow of things, like not trying to swim upstream, but rather letting the current take me downstream and let it go where it's meant to lead me along the journey. The arrow is basically indicating like keep the focus, aim right at the target, the mark, and don't veer off course with any other things. Which, when I tell a story after this, I'm sure a lot of people will understand why I resonate with that so much. And then the shield is indicating like keep my guard up, probably against like negative emotions or sort of issues of the past, and becoming aware that those are like old programming or old paradigm sort of beliefs and gimmicks that are trying to latch on and keep me from moving forward, right? So it's very interesting, in fact. The story I figured I'd share based on that, this will probably resonate, is there was actually somebody who was supposed to come and see me on Monday, an old friend from high school. And like they claim to like me oftentimes, but it seems like they only email me if they like either want something, whether it's intention or it's money or something. And then they always end up playing these like games with me, right? And they always make up like these crazy stories with me. It's this woman named Samantha Dixon, or they had a Facebook account. They called themselves Sammy Sosa, whatever. It's like, no, their real name is just Samantha Dixon. I don't even care if they watch this. It's like, well, I call it as I see it. I don't lie. But you know what? At the same spirit of everything I've learned, love, light, forgiveness, gratitude, no negative will, even though what they did was wrong. I'm not going to hold any like resentment towards them. I'm just going to tell the story exactly as it was so you understand why not to get reared off course was an important idea that the arrow was trying to indicate to me. So this person claims to like me, and like, they've taken money from me, promising to come see me, and then never did. They make up all these stories about their apartment got broken into. Their ex baby daddy's really abusive and beat them up and all this. And it seems like they only do that when they want money from me or they want attention. And it's like I got tired of them playing these games with me. And then they literally said, "Oh, I'm gonna come see you soon." And then like they disappeared, didn't show up all day. I got so tired of waiting. I'm like, fuck this. If they show up, I'm out for a walk. They can fucking wait for me. I'm not the same person anymore who's going to sit there and waste all their time all day and waste my day because of that. And it would make me anxious, obviously, sitting there waiting, right? So I'm like, screw that. Went for a walk. And then eventually nothing. And I mean, hours went by. So especially because one of the stories they were telling me was baby daddy beating them up. I'm like, are you okay? Because I'm like thinking, oh, what if their baby daddy found out, seeing that they're such a like temperamental, like crazy rageaholic, and beat them up again? I felt kind of bad. I don't know what's happening because they said they were coming, and then they just bail, and then they don't say nothing. So I asked, "Are you all right? Is everything okay? Like, are you still coming? What happened?" Right? Because they said they were going to be on their way in like 10 minutes or so, right? And then just disappeared for hours. Nothing. And then by nightfall, I got so fed up that they kept me there wondering all day, like not even waiting for them so much, but especially after all the stories they told, if they were even true, I was obviously concerned. So it's like, this is one thing that bothered me about North American people doing this, is like not having a sense of honor or like fulfillment for an obligation. You make plans, you keep your word. It's dignity, have some dignity, have some honor, the sense of giri, as they call it in Japanese culture, right? And people here, they lack that, which frustrates me. And that's, I kind of like told them off in that sense. I'm like, you know what, you've been doing this crap to me since high school, so from now on, if you want money, if you want attention, you want to play games, go find somebody else. Because you know what? I deserve better than this. I'm not giving into any of these like games or any of this nonsense you're trying to feed me anymore. You said you wanted to come see me. And then like they just vanished, right? And then they didn't respond all day. Even when I asked, like, are you okay? Like something happened? Nothing. When I said that and I told them off, and that's every time when they respond is when I tell them off. And then they say, oh yeah, sorry. It took a long time to have the tires changed on my car. I had to go to some soccer game and all this. And I'm like, yeah, and you just don't bother to say anything until I snap on you and ask like what the hell happened. Like, you know what I mean? It's like it's just so immature and dishonorable. So yeah, I snap. But like I said, I'm not gonna hold it against them. It's just I'm sure you could understand where I'm coming from. In my opinion, there is a good lesson in that. The universe is saying, focus on Hitomi. Don't worry about these people here. They have no sense of gaiety. It's not worth it. They're not the right ones. And it's like, I even was talking to my addictions counselor today about this when we went on a walk. And I said, you know, some people probably wonder, like, why I like Japanese people, why I have so many Japanese friends. Not just females, but males too, right? I have a lot of Japanese friends. And I said, it's the sense of gaiety that they have. Like they're very honorable. They fulfill their obligations. They don't want to inconvenience you or take anything from you. Like one example of this is my friend Haruka. I actually sent her some money to participate in this Hitomi Shimatani contest that only Japanese people could do. And it's because I figured, well, if she gets a prize, she could mail it to me. They can't mail it to me because they don't want to mail outside of Japan. But if she won the prize, she could send it to me, right? Unfortunately, she didn't end up getting to participate in the contest in time. It had already run through. But you know what? I wasn't mad. I wasn't upset, and I knew her birthday was coming up. So I said, "You're a good friend of mine. You've been a dear friend of mine for a long time. Why don't you just keep the money and give yourself like something for your birthday, a gift from me, like." Because I'm not gonna like fault them for something that wasn't their fault, and they're a dear friend of mine. They felt so bad, like, no, 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 I can't take your money. Like, I will use the money for something else for Hitomi Shimatani for something for you, but I can't just take your money, like out of honor, duty, obligation, giddy, right? So it's like, no, 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 I can't just take the money. And I was cool with it. I wasn't even putting pressure on them. I'm like, no, you're a dear friend. Like, don't worry about it. They're like, no, no, no. If there's a chance to get you something else of hers, I will get you that and send you that. I'm like, okay, okay. But that's what I'm saying. A huge difference in culture. Whereas that person, that other person I was telling the story about, Samantha, took my money, promised to come see me, and never did. You see the huge contrast of difference there? It's astronomical volumes. And then, like I was mentioning earlier, like making the song for Yoshida-san and Otani-san. Otani-san was a very nice friend that like I encouraged them, and I was saying because they made a post and I guess they were kind of being hard on themselves, saying, "Damn, I'm really old now." And like I don't know, maybe it's because they're single or something. And I was like, "No, why you say that?" I'm like, I would think you were my age or younger. Like you still look really beautiful. Don't age is just a number, and like we actually became really good friends. That's why I said like, oh, I'll dedicate one of my new Japanese songs to you, because very nice friend. I cheered them up. They were really nice to talk with. They actually encouraged me and said, oh, like your Japanese is really good. If you ever come to Japan, we'll have to go eat some food together, go to a restaurant. I said, oh, I'd like that. I'd really like that, right? So yeah, good friend. I was like, oh, I gotta dedicate part of a new song to you or something, right? So good friend in that sense. And then Yoshida-san, just to summarize, was a friend that I'm like, added recently. We became friends. We started talking, and they made this post because they're trying to quit smoking too. And they brought up a lot of good points, which made me think about my own battles and struggles and difficulties with it. And they were saying, smoking doesn't actually make you less stressed or depressed. It's just the nicotine in your body, because you start to lack it, makes you feel those things because you're wanting more of it to compensate for what you lost. And she was saying, like, why am I doing this? She's like, I take pills for asthma, yet I'm still smoking. It's stupid. I need to stop. And I even like to encourage her and give her positive encouragement. I said, you know what? we'll quit together. Why don't we be accountability partners? We'll both be, positive. We'll be good friends. We'll cheer each other on, and we'll both quit together. So we became very good friends in that sense. They liked my new song. Otani-san liked my new song. So I was like, yeah, I'll dedicate the new song that I'm going to record at the end of the month to them. So yeah, there's just the huge difference of culture there. And then it's like with this other person, that I had sort of like a picnic date with them, but it kind of got cut short because of the rain and the festival and all that. And it's like they're kind of uncommunicative and all over the place too. And I just noticed there's such a difference. But I think that's why I get along with Japanese people so much, is because the sense of gaiety in their culture, it's something I really loved. And that's what I explained even to my addictions counselor today, because he kind of wondered why it is too. And I said, I don't know, but they get along with me too. It's not just I like them. They all seem to like me. And that's why I always use the example of Geikai Tai Gaijin, a strange stranger. I'm strange here, but over there I would have values and like honorable like formality like Japanese people. So I would fit right in. That's why they love me over there, right? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's a coincidence that the biggest hit of my entire music career was a song I sang fully in Japanese. You see what I'm saying? So, anyways, we will get into the next reading, which is romance and career. We've pretty much been discussing many things in the middle of this, but oh well, it's been fun. I don't do this all the time now. I only do this once a week, so but it'll still be fun to discuss things. And if anybody else wants a reading, and we are a little bit over the broadcasting time in some cases, then that'll be fine too. We'll work it out. But yeah, now we will get into the romance reading. So, oh great Clow cards of Kurorido, using the power of the sun, the moon, and the stars, reveal to me what message you have for my romance, using the universal consciousness of infinite intelligence. Release. These are very good cards for romance. These are, wow, these are really, really good cards for romance. I'll put it this way. The combination of this is like very exciting. Okay, so first we have the glow card. So, that's a very good sign. Then we have the light card. We have the twin card. Very good card. The Sakura card. And the storm card. Now, what this indicates is with the romantic situation, it's the brightest, shining, glowing sort of relationship. It brings out a happy feeling. It makes me almost glow with the vibration of it. Like there's a very positive, peaceful, happy feeling of contentment, like that just kind of shines brighter than anything else, which is why the light card is there. That it's almost like the light at the dark end of the tunnel in many cases on this journey for me. It's something that always pushes me to keep bettering myself and moving forward, no matter how the difficulties or any obstacles present themselves in the journey. So it's definitely like the light that shines that keeps me going. The twin indicates that this is a twin flame, that the universe has actually been bringing us together since before I existed, perhaps before they existed. It all existed in the spiritual realm before it became physical in our everyday realm. That's what the twin indicates, especially when the twin is used in a love reading. It actually indicates like twin flames, perfectly matched like soulmates, meaning I was almost pulled into existence to be their ideal husband, and that's why I was led to the conclusion that they are my wife, which is very fascinating. The Sakura card is indicating that it's almost like a Sakura and Shaoran kind of relationship, that those are the most beautiful and passionate romantic like relationships that have occurred in my life. They always have some sort of theme about that. But it's also saying that by being myself, by unlocking my own inner power, my own magic, that's what draws them to me. It draws me to them. And I will relate a story to how true this is after I conclude with this reading too. But the storm indicates that it's a lot of energy is going on. Like there is a lot of movement. Like a storm in a case like this with all the other cards is saying that it might seem like there's not a lot going, but it's because there's actually so much going on that it is assembling everything to like bring it all together, which is really incredible in this case. Now, oddly enough, when I had he told me the new song and I made the music video, which has got over 3,000 views, I sent them the link, and they were so shocked, and they responded in like the VIP fan club, the chat message directly to them, and they were like, "What? You really made this song for me?" Like they were so surprised. They felt like so honored and shocked and happy and excited. And then I even tweeted about it, and I said I was very grateful that because it's the song I made for them, and I love them, and they inspire me. That I'm grateful that this was the biggest song of my career, and they hearted that tweet. So there's definitely movement in that direction, and it's really great. It's wonderful. So yeah, it just keeps the fire burning brightly. And then next we will do the career reading, and then we will read some Neville Goddard while we wait to see if anybody else would like their fortune told. And then if not, we will actually probably conclude the broadcast after that, just because I actually have already talked about most of the discussion material in between these readings, so we wouldn't really have to re-emphasize it too much after. Anyways, oh great Clow cards of Kurorido, using the power of the sun, the moon, and the stars, reveal to me the message regarding my career from the inspiration of infinite intelligence within the universal consciousness. Release. Freeze, the dark, the change, the song, and the hope. Oh, that's a very interesting reading. Okay, so the freeze indicates that, and this is accurate. The freeze is accurate right now because I won't be able to actually record until the end of the month. So that makes sense. Can't really do too much regarding the career at the present moment. The dark indicates that the dark, especially with all the other cards, I pick up the vibe and the energy that it's saying, like, the dark times that were making my career slow in the beginning are starting to like dissipate. That the night is almost darkest before the dawn. That's what I'm picking up from this. And hence why we have the change card as well. The dark, the change. So the change is indicating that things are actually going to start changing. Hence probably why we drew the light in the last reading, which is probably symbolic of the contrast of opposites. We have the song card next, which means like, yeah, there's going to be, especially because my career is around music, it's going to be drawing new inspiration for songs, making new songs, songs reaching new heights of success that had never been done yet. The hope indicates like it's that hope that because I've been learning what I've been learning, I've been coming up with better music than I ever have in my whole career, and things keep getting better and better, that the hope means that I am actually already successful, and because I'm aware that I'm successful, because I chose to be an artist all along, that I will actually gradually become more and more successful. So the hope is a very good card indicating that more and more good things will start coming along as far as opportunities and wins and successes within my career. So that concludes our Clow card readings for the evening. Now we will get into Neville Goddard, which I had actually read this chapter earlier today, but I really liked it so much that I thought, you know what, I'm going to reread this tonight for the actual live Clow card readings, because I usually read a chapter of his, and this one's a really good one because it talks about the highways of the inner world. This is from his book Awakened Imagination and the Search. So chapter 3, Highways of the Inner World. And the children struggled within her, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Duality is an inherent condition of life. Everything that exists is double. Man is a dual creature, with contrary principles embedded in his nature. They war within him and present attitudes to life, which are antagonistic. This conflict is the eternal enterprise, the war in heaven, the never ending struggle of the younger or inner man of imagination to assert his supremacy over the elder or elder man of sense. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Matthew 19:30. He it is who coming after me is preferred before me. John 1:27. The second man is the Lord from heaven. 1 Corinthians 15:47. Man begins to awake to the imaginative life the moment he feels the presence of another being in himself. In your limbs lie nations twain, rival from races. From their birth, one the mastery shall gain, the younger or the elder reign. There are two distinct centers of thought, or outlooks on the world possessed by every man. The Bible speaks of these two outlooks as natural and spiritual. The natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him, neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. Man's inner body is as real in the world of subjective experience as his outer physical body is real in the world of external realities. But the inner body expresses a more fundamental part of reality. This existing inner body of man must be consciously exercised and directed. The inner world of thought and feeling to which the inner body is attuned has its real structure and exists in its own higher space. There are two kinds of movement, one that is according to the inner body and another that is according to the outer body. The movement which is according to the inner body is casual, but the outer movement is under compulsion. The inner movement determines the outer, which is joined to it, bringing into the outer a movement that is similar to the actions of the inner body. Inner movement is the force by which all events are brought to pass. Outer movement is subject to the compulsion applied to it by the movement of the inner body. Whenever the actions of the inner body match the actions of the outer, must take to appease the desire. That desire will be realized. Construct mentally a drama which implies that your desire is realized, and make it one which involves movement of self. Immobilize your outer physical self. Act precisely as though you were going to take a nap, and start the predetermined action in imagination. A vivid representation of the action is the beginning of that action. Then, as you are falling asleep consciously, imagine yourself into the scene. The length of the sleep is not important. A short nap is sufficient, but carrying the action into sleep thickens fancy into fact. At first your thoughts may be like rambling sheep that have no shepherd. Don't despair. Should your attention stray 70 times 7, bring it back 70 times 7 to its predetermined course until from sheer exhaustion it follows the appointed path. The inner journey must never be without direction. When you take to the inner road, it is to do what you did mentally before you started. You go for the prize you have already seen and accepted. In The Road to Xanadu, Professor John Livingston Lowes says, "But I have long held the feeling, which this study has matured to conviction, that fancy and imagination are not two powers at all, but one. The valid distinction which exists between them lies not in the materials with which they operate, but in the degree of intensity of the operant power itself. Working at high tension, the imaginative energy assimilates and transmutes. Keyed low, the same energy aggregates and yokes together those images which at its highest pitch it merges indissolubly into one. Fancy assembles, imagination fuses. Here is a practical application of this theory. A year ago, a blind girl living in the city of San Francisco found herself confronted with a transportation problem. A rerouting of buses forced her to make 3 transfers between her home and her office. This lengthened her trip from 15 minutes to 2 hours and 15 minutes. She thought seriously about this problem and came to the decision that a car was the solution. She knew that she could not drive a car, but felt that she could be driven in one. Putting this theory to the test, that whenever the actions of the inner self correspond to the actions which the outer physical self must take to appease desire, that desire will be realized. She said to herself, I will sit here and imagine that I am being driven to my office. Sitting in her living room, she began to imagine herself seated in a car. She felt the rhythm of the motor. She imagined that she smelled the odor of gasoline, felt the motion of the car, touched the sleeve of the driver, and felt that the driver was a man. She felt the car stop, and turning to her companion, said, "Thank you very much, sir." To which he replied, "The pleasure is all mine." Then she stepped from the car and heard the door snap shut as she closed it. She told me that she centered her imagination on being in a car and, although blind, viewed the city from her imaginary ride. She did not think of the ride, she thought from the ride and all that it implied. This controlled and subjectively directed purposive ride raised her imagination to its full potency. She kept her purpose ever before her, knowing there was cohesion in purposive inner movement. In these mental journeys, an emotional continuity must be sustained. The emotion of fulfilled desire, expectancy, and desire were so intensely joined that they passed at once from a mental state into a physical act. The inner self moves along the predetermined course best when the emotions collaborate. The inner self must be fired, and it is best fired by the thought of great deeds and personal gain. We must take pleasure in our actions. On 2 successive days, the blind girl took her imaginary ride, giving it all the joy and sensory vividness of reality. A few hours after her second imaginary ride, a friend told her story of the evening paper. It was a story of a man who was interested in the blind. The blind girl phoned him and stated her problem. The very next day, on his way home, he stopped in at a bar, and while there had the urge to tell the story of the blind girl to his friend, the proprietor. A total stranger, on hearing the story, volunteered to drive the blind girl home every day. The man told the story, then said, "If you will take her home, I will take her to work." This was over a year ago, and since that day, this blind girl has been driven to and from her office by these 2 gentlemen. Now, instead of spending 2 hours and 15 minutes on 3 buses, she is at her office in less than 15 minutes. And on that first ride to her office, she turned to her good Samaritan and said, "Thank you very much, sir." And he replied, "The pleasure is all mine." Thus, the objects of her imagination were to her the realities of which the physical manifestation was only the witness. The determinative animating principle was the imaginative ride. Her triumph could be a surprise only to those who did not know of her inner ride. She mentally viewed the world from this imaginative ride with such a clearness of vision that every aspect of the city attained identity. These inner movements not only produce corresponding outer movements, this is the law which operates beneath all physical appearances. He who practices these exercises of bilocation will develop unusual powers of concentration and quiescence, and will inevitably achieve waking consciousness on the inner and dimensionally larger world. Actualizing strongly, she fulfilled her desire, for viewing the city from the feeling of her wish fulfilled, she matched the state desired and granted that to herself which sleeping men ask of God. To realize your desire in action must start in your imagination, apart from the evidence of the senses involving movement of self and implying fulfillment of your desire. Whenever it is the action which the outer self takes to appease desire, that desire will be realized. The movement of every visible object is caused not by things outside the body, but by things within it, which operate from within outward. The journey is in yourself. You travel along the highways of the inner world. Without inner movement, it is impossible to bring forth anything. Inner action is introverted sensation. If you will construct mentally a drama which implies that you have realized your objective, then close your eyes and drop your thoughts inward, centering your imagination all the while in the predetermined action, and partake in that action, you will become a self-determined being. Inner action orders all things according to the nature of itself. Try it and see whether a desirable ideal, once formulated, is possible, for only by this process of experiment can you realize your potentialities. It is thus that this creative principle is being realized. So the clue to purposive living is to center your imagination in the action and feeling of fulfilled desire with such awareness, such sensitiveness, that you initiate and experience movement upon the inner world. Ideas only act if they are felt, if they awaken inner movement. Inner movement is conditioned by self-motivation, outer movement by compulsion. Wherever the sole of your foot shall tread, the same give I unto you. The Lord thy God in the midst of thee is mighty. And that concludes our reading for tonight. So, as usual, if you happen to catch this broadcast after its conclusion and you would like a reading for next week when we do another live Clow card reading, feel free to comment gender, zodiac, and if you would like career, romance, or general future, and I will be sure to tell your fortune in the next episode. Anyways, thanks for watching. Domo arigato gozaimasu, minasan, oyasumi nasai, matane, Super Kami Guru Alucard. Peace out.